Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you needed money urgently? Maybe a medical emergency or an unexpected car repair? Whatever the reason, it can be stressful and even lead to more financial trouble. But what if there was a way to avoid this? What if you could create a safety net for unexpected expenses? Well, you can. It's called an emergency fund, and today we'll show you how to build one out step by step. Tip 1. Create a budget. To determine your monthly expenses, track your spending for a few weeks. Good old pen and paper can work just fine, but if you prefer to use technology, there are a number of apps available to use, such as Mint, You Need a Budget, Envelopes, or Rocket Money, among others. Once you have an idea of how much you spend each month, you can use the information for two things. One, this will help you determine how much you need to save for a fully funded emergency fund. And two, you can begin to check if there are any areas you can cut expenses. Tip 2. Decide on your emergency fund goal. Your emergency fund should cover at least 3 to 6 months of your living expenses, and if you've got less steady income, we'd suggest pushing this number to 9 months. This includes rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, transportation, and subscriptions. Don't forget about those bills that may come around on a quarterly or annual basis, such as insurance or taxes. So the second step is to calculate what your end number should be. If your monthly expenses total $3,000, then your emergency fund goal should be between $9,000 and $18,000. For those who are freelance or don't have as steady a paycheck, then strive for something closer to $27,000. Tip 3. Make a plan. Looking at your emergency fund goal number can be overwhelming. Saving almost $20,000 can seem daunting, but it's time to make a plan on how to reach it. The first step in planning is entirely mental. You have to commit to doing this. Before you can start looking at ways to cut expenses or how to make more money, you must first decide that you're committed to achieving this goal. Next, start by looking at your current expenses and see where you can cut back. This could mean reducing your spending on non-essential items, such as dining out or subscription services. This can be a good option to get started, but remember that you can only cut so much before it becomes near impossible to save anymore. That's why increasing your income is one of the best ways to strengthen your plan on how to meet your goal. Picking up a side hustle or selling items you no longer need can bring in more and more money with no limit on how much money you can make. By maximizing your income and minimizing your expenses, you'll be able to reach your emergency fund goal faster. Tip 4. Choose the right savings account. Look for a high-yield savings account that offers a competitive interest rate. This will help your money grow faster, which means you can reach your emergency fund goal sooner. Be sure to compare the fees and minimum balances of different savings accounts to find the best one for you. What you shouldn't do is put your emergency fund into the market. While we encourage investing your money, the market is too volatile for the safety net of your emergency fund. If you ever find yourself without a job, handling a medical issue, or fixing a problem with your vehicle, you shouldn't have to worry about pulling your money out because it's a down market. Tip 5. Set up automatic transfers. Make saving for your emergency fund a priority by setting up automatic transfers. You can choose a specific number to transfer each month or set it up to transfer a percentage of your paycheck. This will ensure that you're consistently adding to your emergency fund without having to remember to do it every month. This will also build a habit of paying yourself first, one of the key components to creating wealth. Regardless of what happens month to month or paycheck to paycheck, a dedicated portion will always be sent to your savings account first. Tip 6. Prioritize your expenses to maximize your saving. To build your emergency fund faster, consider prioritizing your expenses. This will free up more money to put towards your emergency fund. You may even have to temporarily postpone engaging in your favorite hobbies if they cost too much. Remember, this won't be forever, just long enough to ensure you build out the fund. You can also consider using windfalls, such as tax refunds or bonuses, to boost your emergency fund. Instead of spending this money on non-essential items, put it directly into your emergency fund savings account. Tip 7. Stay committed. This is so important that we wanted to bring it up again. Building an emergency fund takes time. For some, it can take years to fully fund their account, but it's worth it in the long run. Remember why you started this journey, keep your eye on the end goal, and don't let a few stumbles deter you. You'll thank yourself when an unexpected expense comes up, and you have peace of mind knowing you're financially prepared. Tip 8. Celebrate your success. As we've mentioned, sticking to this goal can take a long time, so it's important that you celebrate and recognize milestones along the way. Don't throw away your progress by splurging on large purchases, but treat yourself for hitting a milestone and then move on to the next one. You got this. Tip 9. Replenish after using it. If you need to use your emergency fund, it's important to replenish it as soon as possible. This will help ensure that you're prepared for any other future emergencies that may arise. It's as simple as going back through several of the tips we've already mentioned. Remember, building an emergency fund is not a one-time thing. As you grow older, welcome a life partner, and have children, you may need to review and readjust your goal number. By doing so, you can ensure that your emergency fund remains a reliable safety net. Tip 10. If it's not an emergency, don't touch it. It can be tempting to dip into your emergency fund for non-emergency expenses, but try to resist the urge. Remember, your emergency fund is there to protect you from financial hardship in case of unexpected expenses. It's there to stop you from relying on credit cards and loans, which can turn into high-interest debt. On the flip side, you shouldn't be afraid to use it when you're in a situation where an unexpected expense has arisen. It's there for a reason. Why is it important? But why is building an emergency fund so important? Let's take a look at an example. Meet Jane. Jane is a single mom with 2 kids. She works a full-time job and makes $3,000 a month. She has a mortgage, utilities, groceries, transportation, and other bills to pay. One day, Jane's car breaks down, and she needs to pay $2,000 for repairs. Since she doesn't have an emergency fund, she has to put the expense on her credit card, which has a high interest rate. She can only afford to make the minimum payments, which means she's stuck paying off the balance for years, with interest piling up. This causes her to fall behind on other bills, and she ends up in a cycle of debt, stress, and financial insecurity. Now let's meet John. John has been diligently saving for his emergency fund and has reached his goal of $12,000. One day, his roof starts leaking and he needs to pay $3,000 for repairs. Since he has an emergency fund, he's able to cover the expense without dipping into his investments or taking on debt. He's able to continue with his daily life without worrying about how he'll pay for the unexpected expense. By building an emergency fund, you can achieve financial freedom and resilience. You can be prepared for unexpected expenses and avoid falling into debt or financial hardship. With your emergency fund in place, you can focus on your goals and dreams, knowing that you have a safety net. Remember, building an emergency fund is not a one-time event. You should review your goal and adjust it if necessary, depending on changes in your life, expenses, or income. By doing so, you can ensure that your emergency fund is there when you need it. So there you have it, a guide to creating an emergency fund. If you don't have one already, it's time to start building your emergency fund today. By following these tips, you'll be on your way to building financial resilience and protecting yourself from financial stress. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you learned something new today. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notified when we drop new content. See you in the next one.